What is up everybody, welcome back. Today I'm going to be showing you guys how to install this new emulator to play PS3 games on your Android device. In my case I'm using my Retroid Pocket 5, but it should work on any of your Android devices. So let's get started. Now before we begin, don't forget to drop a like, subscribe to my channel, really helps me grow so I can keep bringing content for you guys like this. And with this said, let's jump right into the setup. So you're going to navigate to a browser of your choice. In my case, I'm going to be using Opera GX, and you're going to navigate to the link down in the description. Here you're going to see a link for a Google Drive and for the PS3 system software update. So I'm going to be opening the first link to download the app. Once in here, just download the app. Once it's done downloading, you're going to navigate back to the paste bin, and now you're going to open that PlayStation link. Here in the PlayStation website, you're going to scroll down until you find reinstall using a computer. And here you're going to download the PS3 update. And the file you're going to be downloading is ps3 updat.pup. And that's all we need to download. Navigate where you have downloaded the APK and you're going to install it. Now we need to open it. The first thing it's going to do is ask you for access. So you need to allow access in order to be able to access your ROMs as well as the software that we just downloaded. The app is going to look pretty plain and simple. So here you're going to click on the three dots at the top right and you're going to install the firmware. Here you're going to navigate towards where you downloaded the firmware, which in my case is under download, and in here find ps3 updat.pup. Once that's installed, we need to install a game here so we can play it. Now keep in mind that this is still in beta version, so not all the games work. And one very important thing is, unfortunately, when you click on install game, you don't have access to your SD card. So if you have your ROMs on your SD card, you cannot access them through here. I haven't found a way to change this. So the only way to be able to play the games is by having them on your internal storage. So hopefully in the future we'll see an update where we can access the ROMs stored on our SD card. So for now I'm going to navigate to my download folder, and in here I'm going to open Drakengard 3. This is going to install the game, so we had to give it a minute. So let's be patient. So I was able to install the previous game, but unfortunately the game was not booting up. So I installed these two games that are actually booting up on here. I'm going to be installing a new game, so hopefully this one does work also, so I can showcase that to you guys. Here I'm going to be installing Fear, the first Encounter Assault Raycon game. And now that it's finished, you can see it doesn't show here, so you have to click on the three dots and refresh list, and then it shows. So now we need to open the game, and here it's going to be loading different modules, and it's going to basically like generate all the shaders and whatnot. So we need to wait for this. So depending on the size of the game, this may be a little bit time consuming, so you just gotta be patient. So in the meantime, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be mapping the buttons of our controller or our device, which in my case is a Retroid Pocket 5, with the buttons on the screen, because unfortunately this doesn't have controller support and you can only use the touch controls. But thankfully the Retroid Pocket 5 has a key adapter, and here we can basically map whichever buttons we want. So you're gonna drag the little circle button right here and you're gonna put it whatever you want. And in my case I'm putting it on the up button on the D-pad. So on the physical D-pad you're gonna press the button up, and we're gonna drag it again on the left side and again on the bottom and on the right. Now these two are like joysticks, so you gotta drag one of these ones out and you will place it right here. See, we had this L button, so I moved it right here. I don't need this because I already have it configured on here, but that's how you map all the buttons on here. So don't forget to map everything. And before you close this, click on the gear, and for the scheme transparency, move it all the way to the lowest and click on dismiss. Once you're done, press on the little check mark. The reason we pressed on the gear and decreased the transparency is because otherwise the buttons that we added, they were going to be showing right here above the layout, and since we already have a lot of things going on in the screen, I don't think it will be good for us to be also adding extra buttons on here. So now that the buttons are mapped, if you move any button on your physical controller or on your device, you should be able to move the on-screen controls. As you can see here, I'm moving currently the joysticks and they're moving around. So make sure you map those correctly. And since we just mapped our buttons, all we need to do now is wait for the emulator to finish compiling modules and shaders and whatnot. And while this is loading, there is something really important that I feel like I should mention. Currently this emulator only supports installing the games inside the internal storage of your device. So if you have an SD card, they won't be installed right there. So this can take a lot of space on your internal storage depending on the game that you're installing. So you do have to be mindful for that, because technically you have to have double the amount of space for a game. So for example, this game is about 4 gigabytes, and when it installs the game, it's gonna need another 4 gigabytes. So technically the game is going to be taking 8 gigabytes of space, but then once it's installed in the internal storage, you can delete the original file for the game, and then the game will be back to 4 gigabytes. But during the installation process, you need to have 8 gigabytes of storage for the game. Just so you guys know, this is an example for Fear. So obviously if you have a game that is 10 gigabytes, you're going to need to double that storage depending on the size of the game. So make sure you have the space available. Now it seems that the game has been done upgrading the modules or whatever it is that I needed to do, so we're going to refresh the list one more time and then we're going to launch the game. You're going to see this again, but this time it's going to load up super fast. So it seems that fear does not work on here, unfortunately. That is a downside of this emulator, is that you don't know if the game is gonna work or not, and you do have to spend a lot of time waiting for the shaders and everything to be installed in here. So that can be a little bit frustrating, but I wanted to show you guys the process of installing a game. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to be opening Silent Hill Homecoming because this game does boot up. And one really big tip, if you want to see the FPS of the game that you're currently playing, open the floating controls of your Retroid Pocket 5, and if your device also supports that, when you tap on the FPS, you're going to see floating FPS enabled, and then you should see it right here in the corner. So we're going to be playing a little bit of this game just to show you guys that it loads. And I don't believe that you guys can hear this because I'm recording the screen, but you guys are going to be able to see some of the gameplay for this game. Silent Hill games are always like really spooky. I have not played this game before, but it definitely looks a little bit terrifying, and it's nice to see that there are no graphical glitches yet. Here in the bottom left corner you can see that there's like something loading. I think this is loading all the textures and shaders for the game. As you can see, they keep on appearing as that spinner keeps on showing up at the bottom. All right, let's get out of here. So for example, right here it says press R1 to access your item inventory, but when pressing R1 it doesn't do anything. Only when I press R2 it somehow pops the menu. And no, I didn't map the buttons incorrectly, I double checked. So I think that may have to do with either the emulator or maybe just the game itself. I am not sure. As you can see, the game starts stuttering when the little spinner shows up on the bottom left corner, but the game seems to be running at a pretty decent FPS, and that is always nice to see. Also, it seems that this game is playable, so we'll see what happens down the line. 624. So I guess we need to get the other side of the X-ray. Oh, there's a map right here. I do believe that the only downside of this is the fact that the on-screen controls are there. It will be nice if you're able to hide them, but unfortunately because there is no controller support, that just sucks. Here's the other X-ray. So let's take this. Now let's get back. Ooh, spooky. All right, let's play this X-ray here. 624872. All right, let's go back. 624872. Let's see. And the game just crashed. So I guess Silent Hill Homecoming is also unplayable. There is one more game we're going to be testing out, and that is Blades of Time. This game seems to be loading actually pretty decent. However, obviously due to the shader and texture loading, there seems to be some stuttering here and there, but that is normal with this emulator. There also seems to be some audio lag when everything is loading, but once that's done loading, it seems to be running pretty decent on here. This game kind of gives me a vibe of like a supernatural Tomb Raider. So I played a little bit of this game and it seems to be running pretty good for the most part. Obviously, other than the loading stuttering, I don't see any other issues with this. There are a lot of games that you can test on here, but obviously due to the amount of games that are out for the PS3, I was not able to add a lot of them on here. So for the most part, it's just a hit or miss on the games because the emulator is still on a basically alpha version, I will say, and unfortunately it got taken down. So the only way to currently get this is through the only app that was released. So I don't know if we're gonna be able to expect any new updates for this. So it's just a matter of waiting and see what's going to happen with that. So in order for you guys to delete a game, you gotta press and hold on the game, and this text is gonna show up, which means delete in Chinese. So when you press here, it's going to delete the game, but it doesn't give you really any indication that it's being deleted. So sometimes you have to wait a little bit, and sometimes the app is going to tell you that it's not responding, like right here. So you have to keep on pressing on wait, and after a while the game will be removed from here. And if for whatever reason you do not delete the games before uninstalling the app, on whatever file explorer that you have, in my case I'm using Mi Explorer Silver, go to the root of your internal storage, and in here, alongside alarms, Android, backups, documents, download and whatnot, you're going to see a folder called APS3E. This is a folder where all your games are installed. So for example, here I'm going to examine, and you can see that this game is 2.23 gigabytes. Those are the files for the game that I currently have installed, which is Blades of Time. So whatever games you have, if you delete them directly from the emulator, you just gotta give it a little bit of time and it's going to get deleted. But if for whatever reason you delete the emulator and don't delete the games, navigate to that folder, select it, and just delete that folder altogether. Keep in mind that if you do have a lot of games that you have installed in there, it's gonna take a long time to delete, so just be patient. That is all for this video. Thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to drop a like, subscribe to my channel, and I will see you guys next time.